Here's lesson 100, number 26. It wants me to find, or wants me to solve this in between 0 and 2 pi. So it starts out like this. I see that I have sines and cosines, and I can't really factor it that way. It looks quadratic, so I know I'm going to end up having to factor it. So I trade this out. Sine squared theta, you know your Pythagorean identities, sine squared right here. Sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1. So that means if I subtract cosine squared theta from each side, I could say that sine squared theta is equal to 1 minus cosine squared theta. And so that's what I did. Now I'm all in, and I distributed. So now I'm all in cosines. So that's good. And then I combined like terms. The 2 and the negative 9 made the negative 7. And then I'm kind of weird that I don't like there to be a negative in front of my squared term for some weird reason. I just don't like that. So I always multiply through by negative 1. You don't have to do it that way, but I always do. And so there it is. So now it's a quadratic. It's something. It's like 2x squared minus 15x plus 7. You can think of it that way as you factor. So the things have to multiply. There's a coefficient in front of my x squared, so I have to multiply the 2 and the 7, and that's how I got the 14 for my diamond problem. And then they have to, so I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to make 14 and add to make negative 15, and I noticed that 14 and negative 1 work for that. Okay, so now that I have the two numbers that I want, I can't just say, oh, well, the answer is, you know, x minus 14 and x plus 1, or minus 1. I have to put that in a, I can either factor it by grouping, or I can use this area model. So the area model, the way that works is you stick the first term, the squared term, in the upper left, then you stick the constant in the lower right, and then the two numbers that you found when you did the diamond problem, those go in the two sides. It doesn't matter, or in the upper right, lower left. It doesn't matter if I put the 14 on the top or the bottom. And then you ask yourself what two numbers multiply to make what's inside the box, because it's area, right? Length times width. So I know it has to be a cosine and a cosine to get cosine squared. The 2, I could put it up here if I want, but then when I look down here, 2 times nothing is going to equal that. So I want the 2 on the side, because 2 times something does equal that. Or in other words, 2 goes into 14. Negative 7 times, so that's where that came from. Cosine times negative 1. See, I didn't have that yet. I pre-did the problem. Anyway, that goes there. That gives you negative cosine x. And then this one times this one makes that. So what do I do with that? I take these are the two factors that I'm looking for. 2 cosine x minus 1 came from over here, and cosine x minus 7 came from over here. Set them equal to 0. Well, this one, if I set that equal to 0, I would subtract 1 from both, or sorry, add 1 on both sides, and then divide by 2. Gives me a half. Where is cosine x a half? Get out my unit circle, find it. Cosine is the first ordered pair of these ordered pairs. Cosine's a half right here. That happens, I think we want radians. So, hey, I think I wrote mine wrong. Oh no, I didn't. Pi over 3. That's right. And then where else? Down here. Cosine's a half right here. 5 pi over 3. Okay. Cosine, if I set this equal to 0, I'd add a 7 to both sides, and I'd have cosine x equals 7. Cosine x has to be between negative 1 and positive 1. It can't be 7 or 3 or 5 or negative 18 or anything like that. So throw that one away, and these are the two answers.